What if a journey of just over 1,000 kilometers was never really about distance at all? What if it was about choice? When Shu Kai and Songyun were quietly spotted traveling from Shanghai to Shenzhen, something unexpected happened. There was no grand announcement, no dramatic confirmation. And yet, the internet stopped scrolling. Because sometimes, the most powerful stories are told without a single word. Shanghai is not merely a city, it is a state of mind. It represents speed, ambition, and the quiet pressure to always move forward. For many in the entertainment industry, it is a place where success is measured by visibility and momentum, where rest feels almost undeserved. Against this backdrop, the departure of Shu Kai and Songyun carried a meaning that went beyond logistics. It felt like a moment of stillness before motion, a breath taken between expectations and intention. There was nothing dramatic about the scene, and yet that was precisely what made it powerful. In a space often defined by performance, their presence felt unforced. Observers noticed restraint rather than display, calm rather than urgency. It suggested an inner clarity, the kind that comes not from having everything planned, but from knowing what matters enough to carry with you. Shanghai, in this context, became more than a starting point. It symbolized the weight of achievement already earned, and the quiet decision to step forward without leaving oneself behind. Every journey begins somewhere, but not every beginning carries awareness. This one did. Travel is usually discussed in terms of speed, how quickly one arrives, how efficiently time is saved. But this journey captured attention because it resisted that logic. It unfolded slowly, deliberately, and together. What set this trip apart was not the distance covered, but the choice to experience it side by side. In a profession defined by tight schedules and constant separation, shared time becomes a rare currency. Long journeys create something modern life often denies: uninterrupted presence. Along the way, fragments surfaced, glimpses rather than statements. A shared moment here, a quiet exchange there. None of it demanded interpretation, yet all of it invited reflection. The journey allowed space for conversation, for silence, for the kind of understanding that does not require explanation. This was not about escaping work or attention. It was about moving through time with intention. The rhythm of travel softened the edges of public life, revealing a slower, more human pace beneath professional identities. That is why this journey felt different. It did not rush to arrive. It allowed meaning to form naturally, step by step, reminding viewers that sometimes the most significant part of a story happens between departure and destination. Stories are often remembered not for their grand events, but for their smallest truths. In this case, it was the details that lingered. There was no single defining moment, no headline-worthy gesture. Instead, attention gathered around patterns, moments repeated quietly enough to feel genuine. A protective instinct expressed without announcement. A shared humour that felt inward rather than performative. A natural ease that cannot be rehearsed. These details mattered because they mirrored real life. Most people recognize connection not through declarations, but through consistency. Through how two individuals occupy the same space. Through comfort that does not seek validation. What resonated was the absence of exaggeration. Nothing appeared designed to persuade an audience. And because of that, everything felt more convincing. Viewers were not being told what to think or feel. They were simply witnessing alignment. In an industry built on spectacle, subtlety stands out. These small moments created an emotional echo, reminding audiences that authenticity often appears quietly. And when it does, it carries a weight far greater than any dramatic display ever could. Shenzhen is known for reinvention. It is a city defined by motion, innovation, and the courage to begin again. Arrival there often signifies transition, not an ending, but an opening. When this journey reached Shenzhen, the tone seemed to shift. The atmosphere felt lighter, less guarded. Observers noted a sense of ease, as though the act of arriving also allowed something internal to settle. Here, the narrative moved away from departure and into presence. Daily life appeared simpler. Moments felt grounded. There was less emphasis on being seen and more on being present. In a city associated with future thinking, the focus turned unexpectedly inward. Shenzhen became a mirror, reflecting growth that was already underway. Not growth measured by achievement, but by balance, the kind that allows ambition and connection to coexist. This was not portrayed as transformation overnight. Rather, it suggested continuity. The idea that change does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes, it reveals itself in how people move through space, how they choose to spend their time, and how they allow themselves to be fully where they are. While many interpreted the journey through a romantic lens, its deeper resonance lay elsewhere. At its core, this was a story about balance, between public and private, ambition and rest, individuality and companionship. Both individuals are navigating demanding careers at critical moments. The expectation is often that success requires isolation, that focus demands distance. Yet this narrative suggested an alternative, that growth can be shared without being diluted. The journey implied a mutual respect for personal paths, alongside a willingness to walk part of the road together, not as a sacrifice, but as a choice. For viewers, this reframed the conversation. It was no longer about defining a relationship, but about recognizing a dynamic, one that prioritizes emotional steadiness in an unstable environment. This balance resonated deeply, particularly with audiences navigating similar tensions in their own lives. The message was quiet, but clear. Connection does not hinder progress. When grounded in understanding, it can strengthen it. Across cultures, ages, and languages, the response to this story shared a common quality: calm recognition. Viewers did not react with shock or demand answers. Instead, they responded with warmth, reflection, and quiet support. The reason lies in universality. This story did not rely on cultural codes or insider knowledge. It spoke to experiences everyone understands, choosing presence, valuing companionship, and seeking balance in a fast-moving world. It also respected its audience. Rather than instructing viewers what to believe, it allowed space for interpretation. That openness created trust. People felt invited, not persuaded. In an era of overstimulation, restraint becomes powerful. This narrative offered something rare: a moment to slow down, observe, and feel without pressure. That is why it travelled so far. Not because it was loud, but because it was gentle. And sometimes, gentleness is what resonates the most. If you enjoyed this kind of calm, emotional storytelling, stories that focus on connection, growth, and the human side of fame, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for LVT-SHOWBIZ. Thank you for spending your time with us today. Your support allows us to keep telling stories that matter, quietly, thoughtfully, and with heart. Until next time, keep watching and keep feeling.